Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3. It's episode number 4. Last time out, we were targeting Egypt at the beginning of the episode. With the sick man of Europe behind us, we were free to start painting the map to expand. And we still had a truce with Egypt, but it was on a short timer. So I passed up an opportunity to attack Persia, waiting on Egypt. Then Russia decided that they were going to defend Egypt. And with the might of Russia behind them, that was a game I was not willing to get into, as they have over 334 battalions. Number 2 in the world. They're down to number 4 on the Great Powers list, though. They're not as strong as they were, but they're still quite strong. They have been fighting against Prussia of late, and it looks like they might have taken some territory here regarding Russia, like Greater Poland. Anyway, then Persia was a total miss because Great Qing decided they were interested in the area and ridiculously strong. So we found ourselves outmatched, and so we played the small game after that, and we took, Bahrain, and we took some of the modern Ethiopian coastline. But that's it. That's all we managed to do in that last episode. And here's where I'm having a crazy thought. Here's Egypt once again. Incredibly weak. They have nothing left. We essentially bankrupted them, and they've had to eliminate their military as a result. They are an incredibly easy target all of a sudden. Except that Russia still wants to back them. Except that Russia and its 334 units, their power projection is 3,500. 3,500 is the power projection of those units. We're at 6,000. Even though we have 150 units less than what Russia has, we have modernized our military. They have not. Even if they were to try to modernize in the midst of war, they wouldn't gain 3,000 power projection. They wouldn't be able to come up with that. It's a slow transition. It's a slow progress. And, maybe they push their 3,000 to 4,000 or 4,500, but they're not going to push it all the way. And with our target being primarily in Egypt, it's kind of an now or never thing, because at some point we know Russia will modernize. This could be an opportunity to weaken Russia as well. And, we do have shared states that we can get after. I'd say a good 4 here, just below the Caucasus Mountains. Dobruja, that would definitely be an easy one to grab. You grab Bessarabia, and Moldavia is ours. We don't have to worry about that neighborhood or neighbor penalty on why we're not able to puppet Moldavia. We would be able to puppet Moldavia at that point. Risky. We're starting straight off with war. Immediately, it's clear that we're still having shortages regarding munitions, and keeping up with the actual strength that we do have. But so far, Russia has not joined in at this point, meaning they might be leaving Egypt to us. Now, attacking Russia is a different matter because Austria will have their back, assuming that they are still allies. We're going to keep an eye on this thing, and before we get to that deadline, if Russia has not joined in by that point, and they are still on the fence, by the way, but they're not leading their way. We cannot let this tick past that mark, though, before we add our war goals. 3, 2, 1, stop. Austria is still on. Russia's out. Russia is out, so this is going to be kind of an all-in on Egypt. And looking at what we have in terms of infamy, I think we literally can go all in for this. I think we can take all of Egypt here if we have enough. I guess that's the war maneuvers are limited. Eritrea. Let's get Dongola. I think we already got Egyptian desert. Probably Crete next. Still have 36 maneuvers remaining. So we could take one larger state, which is definitely going to make us more known. But I think Blue Nile's the next one down the list, right? Okay, I think we're going to pull Blue Nile now. Especially, look, nobody's in the war. Nobody is in the war. Austria has a chance to join in, and I'm guessing they're going to be much more a threat. Still weaker than us. Still weaker than us if they join, and they're not going to be joining in anytime quickly. Just in case they decide they want to back down, let's add one more primary demand. There's the escalation that's paused for just a few more days, and it continues. Okay, everybody's out. Now, this is expensive for us right now. In fact, we're already going into credit. Let's take one of these armies, and we're going to demobilize. It's down on the expense quite a bit, and the demand quite a bit. And how quickly we're going to get into that step of having credit. We're going to win this war very quickly. In fact, we don't even have opposition on this southern front. Did not expect everyone to sit this one out. I thought we were going to have a bit of a fight on our hands, but here we are with a pretty easy situation on our hands. And we have another opportunity to go ahead and have an army go sit out a little early on this. Cuts down that credit's already up to 400k. As we already hold numerous war goals, this should just keep right on ticking pretty quickly. In fact, it looks like we could go as far as trying to take Crete if we wanted. Won't be a need. Let's go ahead and go back to sending another army home. Minus 86. Other than Crete, all of Egypt is now held. And whew, that's a big gain, folks. That is a very big gain for us. And we're already down to just 41 on the infamy. It's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. That's all that Egypt has left is 2 small states here. And we got Crete as well in that. So that connects us up down here as well. Wow, what a start, folks. What a start to this episode. That is a big haul. That's a big gain. Only one larger state with Blue Nile. It's a lot of smaller territories that we just picked up, so not that big of a deal, but there's that expense gone. But 744k credit, which means we're going to be paying interest. 1.28k is not much. We'll be okay. Plenty of bureaucracy to go ahead and get those 24 months. I like that. That one's going to be a lot faster than the others. 5 years. 5 years. 5. And we're already actively working on this state. It was a state that we already had partial control of. There you go. There you go. That was big. Secession movement. Tigray. Eritrea would be the only one. That's the Tigray. Because the state's already been ours for a bit. Now, Hejaz is still going to be their tributary for now, so we can't take Hejaz yet. Whoa! 80%. Well, other than a cost, this is one of those can't be much easier wars. We can take our smallest. Cover the northern front. If they take this territory, it's not a big deal. We did add 2 more units here. Let's get them redistributed. So we're still number 7 after that, but looking at that great powers list, it's Prussia that's ahead of us. There's a big jump behind us and ahead. But Russia is someone we know is actually fairly weak, so not everybody above us is necessarily above us. But in reality, we're number 9. British Raj is ahead of us, and Great Qing. We have unrecognized major power, and we have a minor power. They apparently have 1 unit, but they're not using it. I just hate that it's adding to the expense thing. We're already down to just being infamous, down to 38. And we're going to work on the economy for a bit. The only downside of the conflict we just had is our timer resets to 21 years to make it a state. We've only passed a single law up to this point because everything comes in at about an 8% chance, and nobody in power actually likes anything. After passing that last law, we've had a monumental shift. We've gone from 8% chance to 11% chance in virtually everything. But there's one that many groups like and nobody hates and has that okay, better 11% chance. So we're going to try landed voting to get away from autocracy, and that's it's another shift in that right direction. And as nobody dislikes it, we should be able to see the debate could hurt us, could cause penalties. But if we can get one or two decent outcomes with that, we can really start to boost the chance. Even as it is, we've got a 1/3 chance of some amount of progress. Try to get ourselves back to a positive balance. We're now at 1.14 million in credit. The interest is up to 2K, and there's now a positive balance as that autonomy continues to fall. So we've unlocked our first company, and none of our options were going to give us a positive prosperity, but we have productivity of 8, and the global average is 9.5, and it's been growing pretty rapidly when it comes to our clothing and cotton. Both of these productions have been going pretty quickly for us. We did have a positive our first event with that one, added 10%, and that's going to give us a much better shot. Yeah, now we're looking at 43% on that debate being down to 56. Looks like it's even dropping further, so we nearly have a 50% chance of making gains. It's a good start to try to get that passed. And again, it helps drastically that there's no opposition for this. It's not much of a positive balance, but we're slowly getting there. Approaching number 2. Really? Why would we lose our power rank? There's nobody to jump us. What, are you going to give it to British Raj? Right now we have the number 9. I think this is tied to our GDP. Right now we have to maintain 24 million or better. Literacy has decreased after adding all these Egyptian states. So lots of additional population that was below that percentile. So we're starting to climb back up, though. Standard of living is pretty bad, but it's slowly increased. And again, territorial expansion to weaker territories is going to do that. Central banking is unlocked. That's extra money. That's going to help us out. Population approaching 30 million now. That's up to number 10. Radicals is pretty high, though, at 5 million. 1 out of every 6. Loyalists, it's a number that's improving, but it's way behind the radicals. And that infamy, it's under 30 now. And we're back down to just 1.08 million. We'll be back under 1 million soon on that credit side. The interest actually is decreasing, which is helping improve the balance more and more as well. Another 10% increase, and we've really lucked out this time. 3 for 3 with positives, and we're down to now less than 50% chance of the debate, which could go either way. 0% chance of stall, primarily because of the lack of opposition, and that's what's giving this thing a chance. We're already up to 8.4 now on the productivity. It's still not giving us the prosperity, though. We've got to get it up to the global average. Global average is actually up to 9.8 now, so it's going up as well, but not as rapidly. Definitely behind on explosives and fertilizer still, so we'll want to get the additional fertilizer plants on the go. Okay, now up to 40% chance. Back under 1 million on the credit. All the while we're paying off the infamy as well, so good opportunity for a little rest. And to try to get something done government-wise, that debate chance is down to 38%. The success chance is up to 40%. So pretty strong odds here, 3 and 5, that we're going the right direction. And we're back down to just being reputable. And we've moved to the last stage. Consideration is done. Now it's down to just adoption. We did lose our great power status, though, with the prestige hovering at 451. We're down to just a major power. But looking at the sheet, yeah, nothing changed. We're still in the same spot we were. There's just one less great power than there was. But beating up on Russia could definitely move us back up. Right now, we just can't afford to do so. We definitely need to build the economy, get out of debt. We have the military might. They might have it though by the time we are in a position to do so. But again, we still want this infamy to go away before we do much more expanding. And it passed, and that was all positives. Absolutely zero negatives on that one. We are going to lose authority. You can see we do have a deficit there, but that's a step in the right direction. It's so hard to get things going politically when they're really locked in. Yeah, you can see we now have an unacceptable government. We may have to make changes here as the intelligentsia alone, but that's how we've been able to pass something. Conservative Party's huge. That's another reason why we can't pass anything, right? When it was just the local governors, they didn't want any changes at all, so we couldn't pass anything when they were in charge. But they were at like 60% before. We've slowly brought them down. You can see from about 49. This is just in the last 10 years. From 49% in the last 10 years down to 39%. So we're slowly weakening that Conservative Party. But it's hard to get things done with a group who wants to get things done when they lack clout. You can see after passing a law, they've lost a little bit of clout. Kind of got their way, and so now facing that obstacle. Our last one here that's going to hurt. We've got to get rid of that consumption tax, get us back at least close to zero. And we have an election coming that is going to change things. That Conservative Party has the biggest share of votes. The Agrarian Party we certainly don't want getting in charge either. The Freedom and Accord Party, they only have a 20% share of votes. Alright, well the first vote is in. We are going to have to kind of follow. Actually already the ratings are better, but I don't see how well. Let's see what they can do before I go ahead and change the government and cave into what was actually voted for. We've improved to a 13% chance, it looks like. Kind of across the board, yes. So it's ever so slightly better, but as I've already seen, I don't think we have. The answer is no, so let's go ahead and get some legitimacy back in. We've definitely seen a good switch in the economy, about 10K stronger than it was, and that's helping us pay off that debt much faster, down to under 250K. And again, we're gaining pretty quickly on there. The interest is cut down by 1,500 from where it used to be. That's helping, obviously, add to that balance, but it's the growth. Following that second passed law, the petite bourgeoisie really like us. The industrialists, they like us, and some of them hate us less, but we're really not getting like amazing positives or anything other than extra bureaucracy. That's probably why our bureaucracy is so high. Assimilation is a problem. Military goods cost is a problem. Technology spread is a problem. Debt's paid off. We're rapidly starting to build gold reserves. It's only been a couple months and we've already flipped that 250 deficit into nearly 200 in the bank. All of the Greek states are incorporated. Crete is now incorporated. And the newer Egyptian states are already incorporated. That's how fast time is going. It's been right at that 5-year mark. So it's only just happened, as Eritrea is at that mark now. They're just under 5 years. We're at 11 for those couple other states, 13 for those couple other states that we took, as they're a bit further out. Bahrain is now incorporated. We're going to go ahead and take a round of looking at our puppets or subject states. Total annexation is a different matter. That's usually a process that's going to be hard. Reduce autonomy, they will accept, so we'll take that. It adds a little bit of autonomy, but Serbia is at the point of annexation, and there's a chance that they would accept, so we're not too far off from that. Same for Wallachia. But Moldavia has been that hard one thanks to Russia. We're up to 47% chance that they would accept. Russia would join in with them, and Russia now has 9,700 army projection. They have made the changeover, so their military has matched our level, but because they have more units, they are exceeding our level. Modernization level is where we are now equivalent, so where we've now fixed the economy, and the autonomy has gotten nearly fixed. Russia is no longer a viable target for us. I would assume Persia is not, but we'll see. It's still a little too early. And all of a sudden, prediction-wise, Great Qing still has interest in the area, as does Great Britain and Russia. But none of them appear that they would jump in on our enemy side. So Persia could be our next target. By the way, at this point, France, Great Britain, German Empire. Ooh. Prussia has absorbed most of the German, all. So Prussia has formed the German Empire. Oh man, that bumps them up to number 3. Russia at number 4 though. We're at neutral, 0. They don't hate us anymore. Austria still likes us. The U.S., Mexico are fairly neutral. Spain, we're still in at number 7. Spain, our ally, likes us. British Raj down at number 12. After things going negatively there for a while, we're back to gaining on the literacy rate and standard of living. We're up over 30 million now. Russia's now trying to damage relations, though. Now that we got it positive, they don't like liking us. Went and had breakfast, came back, and forgot to hit record. Shiwa no longer exists. That was our next target. They had a decent-sized army, but it was only 1,000 army projection, and they had no friends. Taking the 3 states added about 35 infamy. We had a little bit left from the previous war, but it was a very easy win for us. They didn't stand a chance. In fact, I only had to mobilize 2 armies, which really just gave us a neutral balance for a couple months there while we were winning the war. So our gold reserves are building up to 2.75 million in terms of the gold reserves, and with that easy war, the only thing is this one is down to 9 years, but I worry it's going to lead to a secession movement fairly soon, as we had a small chunk of the state over here on the edge, but the other 2 are brand new to us, and so they've got that 21-year timer. We have our next election coming up, and elected bureaucrats is now a target of a few of our interest groups. None of them are even very passionate about it. They don't have very much support, but the radicalism is relatively high. But at 60, it's not bound to go anywhere. It just means we're going to get some negative events. I'm certainly not a fan of having those negative events, but outside of that, there's no reason for it to be much of a threat for us. You can see our bureaucrats. Which one do they want? The elected. Well, our small party has definitely moved from number 3 to number 2 and have a much better shot at being part of this next government. And the petite bourgeoisie have broken off, definitely changing things. So government reform, 52%. I suppose that's kind of our strongest right now. Doesn't change things by much. Intelligentsia and the industrialists aren't happy right now. We couldn't put them in even if we wanted to. But what they want is elected bureaucrats. And for that, actually we have a 52% chance to progress now, probably because of that push. The local governors don't like it. I mean, we're barely talking about a positive, but 4 groups like it, 1 don't. We're going to have a real problem on our hands with the 1 if we go against them. I mean, we could have a real revolution on our hands, or the radicalism of this side would get significantly worse. Right now, aristocrats have a plus 25% political strength. That's our group that doesn't like this. This is going to remove their strength. But like I said, I think there's a very good chance of an actual rebellion breaking out, where right now there's still a chance of that rebellion breaking out. I mean, they went from 51% to 67% already, just over a couple of events ticking by. It's drawing close enough that it could reach. But if we get the elected bureaucrats, it's got a 52% chance of passing. I just worry about those local governors and their opposition and how much clout they'll have. They're down to 35%. And they would be weaker if it passes. But how many states break off, and how hard's that fight? 52%. We're going to give it a try. Oh, immediately jumps to 56 to 61. Nice. Having them placated, it builds the support. Sunni Ulema have decided to support it as well. Very good chance. Very good chance of going forward. And the longer the local governors stay out of it and don't try to start a war, the better the chance of this going through fairly quickly. Here it comes. There it is. That they didn't wait as long as I was hoping. I was hoping we'd get to at least consideration. It dropped us by a couple percent. Support did drop, but at 126, like, it looks like it's coming, and that's a lot of states. That is a lot of states. It's mostly Egypt, and 20 more, and 20 more. I think we'd be stuck with the local governors at that point. But law into consideration. Here's the trick: is which one's going to go faster. 25% means it's only going to take 4 times going through this. Well, we've at least ticked it up to 5 times that it's going to take to complete it now. But look how fast it's going. It's like we're going to have this succeed to work. Once it passes, it's going to be... We've got them all sorts of split up. Egypt is in a bit of a mess right now. Ooh, Intelligentsia have issued demands. Oh, I like that. Okay, we're up to that 45%. And this one is not yet in that state. Come on, we need it to pass. We need it to pass. Go to assent. Go to assent. It's gone to assent. Oh boy. Oh boy. Illegitimate government. We can't do anything about that right now, can we? Confirm. Yes, okay. 76%. 76% chance now. It's ticked up to 70%. This is important. We can't have it be more than a 5% progress. So we have to go with the lower it by 5. Have to. Wow, we are playing with fire here. Balance is still positive. So we are making money. The infamy's down to 32. 76% chance of passing this time, but we will tick by the next revolution one. Before that, it'll be at 90%, so we just can't have a 10% increase. And then we have that 76% chance on the ascent. Very good odds that it's going to go through, but there you go. 87 now. So it can tick by more than... Okay. Mortality. Oh, nice. Okay. But that's... Agriculture tax income's going to take a big hit for 5 years. It's just one state. One state. Okay, we're down to 77. And it would be at 99.4. Oh. But here we go. Here we go. Come on now. We're a couple days away. We have it. We have it. Elected bureaucrats. Has passed. Now that's not to say they're not going to turn around and try something now, but man, that was close. They are very angry. Austria is now damaging relations. Okay, here's the thing. They are out of the government right now. What we're going to do is we want to suppress. We need 200 authority to make that happen. But let's do it. We need to suppress them. That's 18k. That hurts. That hurts a lot, but it'll do. There's 200. Population's only 102k. It's just the power that they hold. Austria is not like what we just did. The industrialists want to see us get to a parliamentary republic. We have a 25% chance on parliamentary republic, but 4 groups absolutely hate it. Most people are pretty happy with the monarchy right now. For the mercantilism, tariffs on imports and exports, but we're not doing any external trade. Trade route volume, bureaucracy. I'm kind of liking free trade as a better option, though. Again, the local governors hate it, and the rural folk. The industrialists love it, but we'll offer free trade instead. So those local governors, between suppression and passing a law where they had a boost and no longer have the boost, we're going to see their clout drop. And this could be that turning point. This could be that turning point in this playthrough where laws were so hard to pass. We've managed to force through two this time. We just squeaked one of them through. But with it, of this particular interest group, and they're the most resistant. Sunni ulema, the rural folk, can kind of take over as that main opposition. But this is the one group that absolutely hates us. That is very problematic. And we need some new commanders in our military. We've seen a number of them pass away here. And making this push to weaken the local governors is working. I mean, they've dropped by 2.5–3% already, but it took out a pretty big chunk of our positive balance, and you know, we're definitely looking at something smaller right now. But the gold reserves are up over 4 million. Looks like the largest they've been. Yeah, largest they've been. We're almost 40 years into the playthrough. We've seen ourselves go from about 23 million at the start of the episode up to 31 million GDP. Adding those new states in have definitely had a boost. We're up to 19.5%. And is it possible? No laws, no institutions. That's how difficult things have been in this playthrough. I want to wait until we weaken these local governors anymore before we go and pass our next law. You can see how quickly they're dropping right now with the suppression act. I don't think anybody's going to jump at their side for any particular reason, though Great Britain is back to very much not liking us. So is Russia, for that matter. A couple big aggressive wars might have added a lot of territory, but it's also added a lot of enemies. Well, we've dropped below the 25 infamy, which makes it not much more possible to make moves and not have anyone intervene. This is one of our states that's closest to being done, though. It's 7 years to go, which means Warson Gully, which is part of that state, this is like the best time to get it. That's weird. They backed down when we were conquering state, but we didn't get the state. So we get war reparations, and we get a truce, but we didn't get the state. That's definitely a bug. It's amazing how we're suppressing a group that has more strength than they had before. They've definitely gained some momentum here as we're preparing for the next election. Really poor timing on that part. And I hate how you lose that progress. You win a secession movement. You stop the secession movement. Yet, it's going to retake 21 years. It's a perpetual cycle when that happens, and they don't like you, and you deal with it over and over again because you don't resume or you don't have a minor setback. You literally start all over again. And then, you know, the bug here, we win. Here we go. And it's our angry group. They want the dedicated police force. That's a worrying one, but I think we have no choice. We've got to go for it. Right now we have no police. The dedicated police force will easily pass. Most people are for it. Problem here is the bureaucracy cost and the strength that it's going to give to the military, but it was not a terrible law. All these negatives, though, it's just one after another. 67% of the vote. It's just crazy. The suppression has done absolutely nothing. This group now has no clout. Nothing we can do with the conservatives, though, as the local governors are actively being suppressed. We would have to stop the suppression. One of the best, strongest things we've done in a while is that we've got the market price pretty well under control. I mean, there are goods with negative balances with demand higher than what we have, but none of them have crazy pricing. Wow, that didn't pass. It only advanced. With reserves at 6 million and a 20k positive balance, we're going to do something that we tried earlier and could not succeed with. But we're going to try to upgrade here to the next level and double what we have in terms of construction pace, and that's close enough. That is close enough. We're going to stick with it this time. And as the dust settles on those different industries impacted by turning the construction up, we've already rebounded to about 10k. Law progressed to ascent. Sick Man of Europe. Way back to the beginning of this series, we were looking for those 4 journal entries. One of them involved getting to 20% for literacy. We've only just now done it. It took us 40 years. Just over 40 years to complete that one. So it was a lot tougher than one would expect, and it was just primarily down to laws. Right? We have nothing for welfare, rights of women, children's rights, and we have nothing education system. Like we've said throughout this episode, the turning point was weakening the local governors, and yet here they are, back up to 42%, still being suppressed, but they had a number of events trigger their way, so they're 14-15% stronger than they were. It's a small group. It's a group that's shrinking. It's now under 100k of the 35 million. But this small group, this very small percentage of what we have overall, remain the ones in charge and making the most majority of the decisions. And they're the anti-everything group. So it's been hard to get much through. We're about to get something through, but it's not something that we necessarily want or need. Though I suppose we could use some of the spare bureaucracy that we have to lower dissent a fair bit in these states that and there you go, we have it, dedicated police force. But that's 3 laws passed this episode, where we only had 1 in the first 3 episodes. So big change on how things are going, and we're starting to see that evolution of our population. The local governors are back to a 0. 3 groups like us, 2 are neutral, and only 2 dislike us, and it's 2 of the weakest groups. Though one of them is the group we want to not only like us, but to be much larger, have a lot more clout, and be more in charge. Something that can help with that is illiteracy, but as we can't seem to get any law that's going to boost literacy gains, it's really hard. It's really hard right now to get that moving. Move that needle in the direction we need it to move. But we've started to move the needle in some of the softer, easier targets. And some of the groups like us, we've definitely pushed the right way with the interest groups, but these local governors have had so much power that it's been complicated. But as for the expansion of the Ottoman Empire, we're expanding nicely. This time around was so much better. I mean, we've made 2 massive expansions within this episode. I think our truce is done with Egypt, and they're very weak now. I mean, they still have this ongoing religious revolt because they can't get by us to actually have conflict with each other, so neither one holds the target. So they're just sitting at a perpetual 0. They still hold Hejaz, so we could get after Egypt as long as Russia stays out of it, Russia being much stronger than before. So our little window on Russia being weak is, well, it's gone. And a lot of our neighbors are a lot stronger than we are right now. We did get a little stronger in this episode by about 5 to 700 power projection, primarily just because we added in another 18 regiments when we conquered Shiwa. That addition certainly helped our situation, but we might have to do some manually. In the meantime, we made a significant growth in our economy, then managed to double our construction. Still not great, but things are going to go a lot faster now, which is going to allow us to see that increase again, which then means in turn, wow, gosh, they are dying like flies right now. The lifespan of flies, our commanders. I replaced and then they died, and then I replaced and then they died. And yeah, it's been a bit of a rough go for them here. But anyway, strengthening the military is going to have to be once again a target, because around us, where we made progressions that bumped us up for a while, we've been bumped back below, and we are definitely inferior to some of those around us. Now, our growth is exceeding all but, I'd say, Great Britain and France right now. So for that, we're about number 3. We've added almost 10 million in GDP, some of that through conquering lands. But that's seen us move up to number 9 now. We're up to 153 in literacy, but still not good. 149 in standard of living. That one's very slowly coming up. The population is up to number 10, and that's a whole lot of radicals. But it's only 1 million higher than it was after everything we went through to make the minor gains that we were able to make politically this time. It's a start. It's very much a start, and only that. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.